Okay, so partway through this last page, I didn't realize my thumb drive got full and I kept on talking and there was no recording going on. So here we are. I'm maybe not going to rewrite all of this, but I'll go over this. The last part you saw me label, I was pointing across here, so that this is the opposite side. And this one, maybe you'll get confused and say it's adjacent, but it's not, because you have to look at the 90-degree angle. This is actually the hypotenuse. So if I'm using sides that are opposite in hypotenuse, that is sine. So sine of theta equals opposite over hypotenuse. I need to do the inverse of sine because I'm looking for the angle, because it's trapped inside the sine function. So the only way to get rid of that is to take sine inverse. That'll leave us with x. And then I have to do the sine inverse of 8.5 over 20. So on the calculator, what I did was shift sine, and then I used a bracket to do 8.5 divided by 20. Close the bracket, and I hit enter, and I get my angle of 25.15, but I round that to the closest degree, so I get 25 degrees. But what I did was, just in case you like doing more steps, is some people might not know how to use brackets and put this in their calculator. So what I did was I just put this fraction in my calculator, 8.5 divided by 20. This is also good for showing steps. You'll get part marks if you mess up. That's a decimal, and I'm going to take the sine inverse of that. So if you take shift sine inverse of 0.425, like that, you will get the same answer. So I was just showing you another way of how to get to the same answer if you're not confident using brackets in your calculator, although it makes your life easier. All right, so the other thing you missed as I was talking away was the last question. It's a word problem. An extension ladder is leaning against a wall. The foot of the ladder is 3.6 meters away from the wall. The top of the ladder reaches 8.6 meters up the wall. So even before you label anything, you could draw, think of the wall, the floor, and there's the ladder. So then we go back and think about what it said. The foot of the ladder is 3.6 meters away from the wall. Well, there's the wall, there's the foot of the ladder, so that distance is 3.6 meters. And then the top of the ladder reaches 8.6 meters up the wall. So it's going to go up, vertically up the wall, 8.6 meters. That's not the true length of the ladder. That could be another version of this question, but that's not what they're asking. They're asking us to calculate the measure of the angle formed by the ladder and the ground. So that's this angle, the floor or the ground and the ladder. So I don't even need the hypotenuse, but if this question was asking for the hypotenuse or the length of the ladder, then we would be worried about that. So right here I go across, this is the opposite side, this one is beside, so the ground is the adjacent. So opposite and adjacent, that's tan of theta. All right, opposite over adjacent, I'm looking for the angle. So that means I need to do the tan inverse. I do that on both sides. So the tan inverse of tan gives us just the theta. And then this one, I did this the other way that I was talking about here. Instead of using brackets, I figured out what this was as a decimal, and I wrote it down, or whatever the number is. In this case, it has the decimal. And then on my calculator, I did the tan inverse of all of that. So I'll show you that. Shift tan 2.3888. And I get 67.28. It's a little bit different. I think I had an extra 8 in there the last time. So this, I'm going to look at this 2. That's not bigger than 5, so it's going to leave the 7 and it's left as 67 degrees. Therefore, the ladder makes an angle of 67 degrees with the floor. So, what can you do next? Well, you've done your review. Make sure all your reference sheets are complete and you bring them to the exam. Now, if you want, you can bring them tomorrow, which is Monday, and I will hold on to them till Tuesday. If there's any Delta Math assignments you want to do, get a good night's sleep, okay, so that your brain can function. See you tomorrow during the last day of classes. Bye-bye.